Hi, I'm Mary Benish. I'm the special education teacher here at Adams Elementary.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Erickson. I'm the third grade general education teacher.
Well, it's nice to meet you. I called this meeting today because I had a few students come to me who are concerned about, certain things, and I feel it kind of seems to me that your classroom isn't very structured. And I know you're a first year teacher, this is your first time teaching, and I just kind of wanted to see how things were going for you. And I feel like by the end of this meeting, maybe we could come to a conclusion on how to better structure your classroom.
Definitely. I've been very stressed lately, more specifically in my writing classroom. There's just been so much going on. I have to teach persuasive and narrative and get students to write on them. In the next 2 weeks, they're supposed to learn both.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been having behaviors also, describing that. I have students that don't stay on top, don't stay focused, so it's easier for me to let them pick what they want to do. I think that's where your concern comes from. The students we're talking to you about is they get to choose and they go from task to task, as I'm trying to incorporate all the different objectives I can. And with NISA coming up, there's just not a lot of time, and I'm worried that I can't do all of that.
And I completely see your concern. I know with NISA coming up, I know that's a very stressful time of this semester and for all teachers. And I want to do everything I can to help you better structure your classroom. And I know with all of the, everything that you mentioned, I know that is difficult to do. But I believe that by the end of this meeting, we'll be able to come to a conclusion.
What would you advise I do about the behaviors in that classroom?
Did you say that the behaviors, they get up a lot? Is it kind of just they
get up a lot, they're distracting, they don't stay on task, so that's why it's easier for me to go from task to task quickly, because they can't focus long enough to complete, that's why I'm worried about them not being able to complete an entire persuasive essay or narrative essay.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying, because as a teacher, it's your job to make sure that, you keep them in line, because that's, they're there to learn, and you want to be able to make sure they stay in their seat and they're paying attention during writing and every subject. But
coming up with some solutions, I would like my students to learn about persuasive and narrative, and then just write about one of them.
Okay.
Is that enough structure, do you think?
See, I feel like that's not. I think that I see where you're going with the whole letting them choose what they want to do, and it is, with NISA coming up, I know that it's hard to teach both of them, and I know that that's a lot on your, load to do, but I feel like they need to know both. I mean, they're in third grade. I know that for life, they're going to need to know how to write narrative and persuasive essays, and I feel like you need to incorporate both of them in order for them to help them, throughout the rest of their, elementary, middle school years, and all through high school and college as well.
I just don't feel like I have enough time to do both. I have to teach both, then I have to do examples on both, and then they have to do rough drafts on both, and final drafts, and I only have 2 weeks to finish both of these topics. I just don't see enough classroom time, considering I only have 50 minutes of writing each day with these students, and I have a diversity of learners in my room. I don't see that as a possibility.
I see where you're coming from. I almost wonder if there would be an option where I could either help you co-teach, or if I just came in to help you on a couple days of the week. Would either of those work? Or
I think I definitely would want you in my room, but I think a better option might be, what if my students learned about persuasive and narrative, and then they wrote a rough draft about both, and then a final draft on one. You could teach maybe persuasive or narrative, or whichever you felt comfortable with, and I could do the other, and we could do maybe one teach, one assist for co-teaching.
Okay.
I wonder how that would work with your schedule. Do you think that would be a possibility?
Okay, so you're saying you would like me to come in, whenever I can to co-teach, and whoever teaches one would teach the other person, would teach the other one on the other day.
Yes.
And then, I wonder what it would look like if we used a graphic organizer for teaching them how to write a narrative and a persuasive.
Oh, yeah. We could include that with the co-teaching, definitely. It would help separate persuasive versus narrative for my students, definitely. And I think it would
Yeah.
give them more structure as well.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So you're saying you could come in how many days a week?
I have a really busy caseload this semester. I think the most I could come in would be 3 days a week, if that would work for you.
And you would come in strictly during writing, or would you come in during like grammar, reading? Like, when would be the time that you would come in?
I would be able to come in primarily just during writing, if that would work for you.
Okay, yes, definitely.
I have during grammar and reading, I have other places I need to be with other students, but if I could come in during writing 3 days a week, I feel like that might be best if that works for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So summarizing this meeting, what all have we accomplished?
Well, we have accomplished that I'm going to come in to help you 3 days a week, and I will help you co-teach. So on one day, I'm going to teach persuasive, for instance, and you'll assist. And then on the other day, you'll teach narrative and I'll assist. And then on that one day that neither of us are teaching one, they can work on their papers, and we can both assist them where they need help. And so that's how we're going to tackle that. And just kind of with the structure of your classroom in general, I think that, now with this, you won't be so jumpy. Like, it'll just kind of be consistent, and
Definitely.
we have a set plan in place. So now you're going to be able to cover both areas, and I think that's really important for them as third graders. They're going to be able to get both in.
What would it look like for co-teaching when we incorporate the graphic organizer? Am I going to be designing this, or is that something you have time for? What is preferable to you? I
could probably take over that if you would like. I could go ahead.
That would definitely help with.
That'll probably help,
time.
Especially with your NISA coming up. I think that'll be. Yeah, I can definitely do that, and then we'll have that in place. And then that means also that when it comes to when they have to write essays, we're going to agree on the part that they can write rough drafts for both of them, and then they can pick which one they want to write a final copy over.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I'm glad we can come to an agreement.
Perfect.